you, Scrumptious Strawberries. I hope you are having a lovely day. Welcome back to my series Finishes with Me, where I take a piece that I started offline and have made some progress, and then I bring it to the internet to talk with you guys a bit about it, and then just finish it up. And hopefully this will also encourage you, because these are going to be longer videos, to get out a piece of paper and draw something, or maybe finish something that you also have as a work in progress. So it's been quite a while since I've done my last video. It was actually either earlier this year or maybe sometime last year. It was actually the beginning of this year. I remember now. I was finishing up a piece that I had drawn. I had started it quite some time, as in like 2 years ago. And yeah, I finally finished coloring and then recording it to be uploaded in January. So yeah, let this have a bit more time. I'm hoping for the next few videos of this series they'll be a bit closer together, because I really do like this series, because it gives me opportunity to, it just takes a lot of pressure off regarding just recording in general. So when I do bring it back to you guys, or bring it up onto the internet, I at least have some idea where I'm going. Um, and I don't really have a specific point in the piece where that happens. It's just, if I feel like, okay, I think I can work with this, then I'll bring it up. So for this piece, I am drawing one of my original characters named Pyrus. I originally created her for a writing role play, but things just, the person I was role playing with ended up having a busy schedule, and school and life in general. It happens. But yeah, I couldn't give up this character. So I'm debating whether or not to write a whole on novel including her, or just maybe write a long-ish short story. Because she's supposed to be a mage, and she focuses on water, and she actually, some of the things that she goes through in the story, plot wise, I really can relate to the topic I'm going to discuss soon enough when I get into the kind of process. But before I get into that, I just want to show you what I've done so far. She's supposed to be underwater. It's more of an abstract concept, or maybe like, she feels like she's submerged and not really getting very far in her progress. I did do the line art. It wasn't quite as easy to see far away, but yeah, for the most part, this picture, I do have like this color pick, but I may not even commit to this. I don't know. Yeah, I thought I'd just zoom in a bit, because it's not as easy to see the line art from a distance. I've been trying to make my line art thinner, and instead of using a pen tool, I'm actually using the airbrush. There's a In Clip Studio Paint, they have different airbrushes. They have the hard, soft, highlight, shadow. I'm using the hard one. So what I really like about it is it's not quite 100%, even though it says brush density is 100, which would mean it would equate like opacity, but that would be the equivalent, but it actually still leaves a bit of transparency. So if I were to go over the line again in certain areas, it just makes it darker and more actually opaque. So yeah, I really like the effect that gives, because I am a big fan of line weight, and it really is the only thing that keeps me going and gives me enough motivation to do line art at all. Otherwise, I just would not do it, because line art, it hurts my hand, and it's kind of the main of my artistic experience. Anyways, so I'm going to be getting to the coloring process of this, and yeah, I'm going to kick things into time lapse, and I hope you guys can just sit back, relax, and get something out and enjoy the video. I want to talk to you guys today about something, I guess I'm just going to call it the middle. Yeah, I'm just going to probably put that in the title. um, what is the middle? Well, literally the middle of the process of creating something, or middle of your art journey, or just the middle of maybe just things you're going through. Like when you undertake a new task, it's like a marathon. You're at the start of you're at the start line. Everyone's cheering, the gun shoots off, and then everyone starts running. Or in the case of artists, you start a new project, or you have like an idea, and you suddenly get inspired, and you whip out your tablet or pencil, or whatever utensil you use, and you just start digging at it, and you start telling people about this idea you've got going, and it's all really exciting and stuff, and this is going to be it's going to be a new piece that you're going to be proud of. You feel like you're going to be proud of yourself, because like, wow, this thing, it's new and it really is exciting. And then you keep going, and then the next thing you know, you're running the marathon, you're doing the thing, and everyone's quieted, and you don't see as many people, and even the runners or other artists, it doesn't seem like people are talking as much. You start to notice that there aren't necessarily people cheering you on anymore, or very little. And it's like you start to notice that it's not as joyous, or it's just work that you have to keep going through. And then real life happens on your art journey, where it's like you're in this phase where you haven't quite made it, but you're beyond the point where your art can really be considered bad. Will Terrell calls it the boring phase, and he's an artist who I believe he works at Warner Brothers now. I'll have because he tends to, when you get in the animation industry, you tend to jump from one studio to the next, but I'm pretty sure he's still at Warner Brothers. I'll put a link in the description to that video where he talks about this, because he has some really good sage advice about this phase. And the title of the video itself, just to digress a little bit, it's called "Why Artists Don't Get Good Feedback." So it's for people in different stages of their art journeys. So if what I'm talking about right now, if you relate to this a lot, I think you could find something of value from that video. And he calls it the boring phase because it really doesn't seem like there's a lot of interesting things going on. Like you're working on stuff, and in NaNoWriMo, also known as National Novels Writers Month, you go through the same process too, where it's all exciting and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna write a novel. 50,000 words doesn't sound so bad. And then you get to week 2, and most of the hype has died down, and it's just pure work. It's kind of one reason why I don't like Tuesdays, because it's also like, Tuesday is my least favorite day of the week because it's all work. It's like, at least on Monday, you can talk about how your weekend went, and you just kind of ease back into work. But then the next day is just all, and it's not Wednesday yet. And then, yeah. Because at least with Thursday, you can look forward to Friday. But Tuesday, it's like the week just started. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, this is the area where things start to get really muddy. It becomes like this weird and dark quagmire, and it becomes really uncomfortable. And the next thing you know, just that excitement starts to go away. You may still have the passion to keep pushing forward with something. Say, for example, if you're working on a piece and you get into maybe hour 3, hour 4, and you wanted to just work on something for, I don't know, maybe to push that time limit of how long you work on a piece. And the next thing you know, you're sitting there and starting to question, am I really good enough? Or what am I doing that hasn't, like, I've seen other artists do this way better. What am I thinking? Or even worse, um, who do you think you are? What are you doing? You should you should just take a break from this for a bit. Maybe go watch YouTube videos or play some video games. You can work on another day. Or, you know, you shouldn't really push yourself that much. You could hurt yourself. And there's this and that and the other. Very rational, legitimate reasons, actually. Seemingly legitimate reasons why you shouldn't keep going. But you realize that you're not finished and you're not even remotely finished. And I think some people try to rush through and finish things as quickly as possible, but then they don't learn as much as they could have. It's it becomes you're in it just becomes uncomfortable, so people try to do what they can to avoid it. And this is usually why so many people, I think it's why they start a bunch of sketches or drawings, but then they don't finish them. And I'm not innocent of this either. I do this constantly. And it's actually I've been really trying to kick at least a certain habit. Usually what happens, and who knows, this could be another form of it sneaking in, rationalizing me not finishing it too, when I just think, oh well, I just don't feel like working on it anymore because I didn't really like where it was going. I mean, there are some cases where it is sometimes you just gotta know when to quit, or maybe not so much quit, it's just when to decide how much a project is really worth it to you. Because sometimes things just don't work out, and it's okay. But I think more often than not, we leave work in progresses in our folders or digital files, and we think to ourselves, oh, yeah, I'd really like to get back to that one day. And then a lot of the time we don't. And when it comes to the artist journey, this is when, again, since there aren't as many people, you're lucky to get feedback on anything, because unless someone takes a chance on you who knows what to look for, they may be your only chance for valuable feedback, any kind of feedback, really. And I really like that Will Terrell says in the video just how frustrating it can be. Like you can tell he really gets it, and I'm starting to get it. Unfortunately, I used to think I was in stage 2, or this second phase, where my art was already a certain level of good, but now I think it's at that level. It's good, but it's not great. It's not amazing. If I were trying to work in the industry, I wouldn't get hired. I know I wouldn't. I don't have the skill level. And I'm willing to, as much as I don't like to hear that, I'm willing to accept that it's true right now. But this is also really that phase where you question, because you've already invested so much into your art journey. And I think this is also the time when they tell you that like, from what I've watched with NaNoWriMo, when they give advice for how to deal with week 2, Dr. Brene Brown, excuse me, when she talks about when something hard happens and you're trying to get back up, there's rumbling, which is like stage 2 again. And I'm just noticing this stage 2, day 2, this middle area that just it tends to be glossed over in a lot of films. Like, I've noticed when they have someone doing the hard work, they tend to show a montage, and I don't know if they purposely do this for what I'm about to say, but it tends to like go by faster. And I think, again, I don't know if this is the intention, but it tends to come off like it just glosses over the hard work. I think to save time with showing the film, you kind of lose that sense of like you kind of lose a little bit of a sense of the passing time. Like you do, or let me rephrase that. It's like you don't realize how long it actually is. And it's funny too because I think by default we tend to associate it with a longer period of time, but I remember I was watching the Spider-Man movie this year that came out, and they did a kind of montage for Peter's doing a bunch of things, and then he asks his assistant in the suit, like, how long has it been? 38 minutes. So I mean that actually was kind of ironic, but um it just really doesn't seem to capture how long and how arduous the process is. When you're in that middle area, and I'm saying this purely because I'm going through this right now. I wouldn't be able to talk about this if I hadn't experienced it myself. If I wasn't experiencing it myself. It just feels like it's taking so long. And these are the times when the people who make it, they look back and look at these points in time and be like, yeah, I really worked hard for this. And that's why you can kick imposter syndrome if you're ever feeling it, because it's times like this when you are really, you're tired and you're just exhausted from the day, and yet you still take a moment to get out your sketchbook or open up a document and do that, put in that work. And it just makes things a lot more easy to appreciate, a lot easier to appreciate, because if you don't put in that hard work, then you can't compare the good times with the lesser ideal times, I guess. Um, yeah, because I think about too was people who win the lottery, and they didn't work to get that money the same way a person who invested a lot of time into building a business and dealt with a lot of failures and having to hire and fire employees or managers and going through the whole process of just putting your product or whatever it is you have to do to market yourself, and how much sheer work that goes into it. It's not the same. And a lot of the time, the people who end up winning the lottery, they end up miserable. What I'm trying to say is, I think, because if you're feeling like you're in this area right now, take heart. I'm with you in this muddy mess, and it's not easy, and you're gonna feel self-doubt almost every day. And the question really, what remains is, are you going to keep pushing forward? Are you going to get up? Are you going to sit down, get out of bed, sit at your desk or open up that document if you're going to put in the work? Because those inner demons that tell you you're not good enough, that want to compare you to people who are doing things way beyond your skill level and who are younger than you, or who have a healthier body than you, or who just have a much stricter code of, it seems like they have everything figured out. And then here you are you going to keep putting in that work to someday earn your spot? You got to say yeah. You got to, not only do you have to say yes, but you have to say it with absolute certainty. Yes. It's actually kind of late right now, so I'm sorry if this commentary is a bit nonsensical. I just really wanted to talk about this because it's been going through my mind a lot lately, and just in this process of trying to become a better artist, I've watched people go from beginner to amazing. I've watched people go from pretty darn great to working in the industry. And I've watched people like myself who are frustrated because it feels like they're not making as much progress as they were hoping. And, probably by the time I post this, I'll be in a different mindset. So I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for comfort. I'll be fine. Don't enjoy. I'm a resilient berry. It just sometimes it helps to, if I think that there's someone else out there who could find something of value in this, that maybe I should share it. And just because, yeah, it really is, I think it's something people gloss over a lot too, because you have this, I'm I'm pulling from psychology now, primacy and recency effect with memory, where if you're asked to memorize a set of numbers or words, you usually remember the first few and the last few, and then the middle just kind of gets lost just because that's how our brain works. And I think I like to find connections between that and just a lot of just like connections in general to a lot of things. And I feel like this applies too. You don't think about as much with how things are in those tough times. People don't know necessarily talk about them either. They usually, everyone's like, oh, tell us, how did this begin? Or how did you get here? And usually people will get into detail in the beginning, like, oh, I always loved drawing, or I always was passionate about writing. And then they may talk for a couple of seconds about the middle, but then next thing you know, before things get too sad, yeah, but things get better. And then I made it. Now here we are, kind of a deal. I don't know. Something about that just never sat well with me, because I think that nitty gritty, I think more people need to see the nitty gritty, because so often I see artists who are doing amazing work and people are just like, how did I become like you? How did you get to be that good? Or, why is it that you're so much better? Or, I don't know, just, you can just tell they don't get it. They really don't get it. Like, just the sheer amount of work that goes into it. And I can understand why artists get irritated with this, because it's like, dude, you have no idea how many bad sketches I've had to do to get here. You have no idea how many drafts I've had to write up and watch bleed from my editors. Or, it all the work that goes into it is just completely, because it's out of sight, out of mind. Nobody sees you in the middle. They all come back in the last week of NaNoWriMo. They're all waiting. They all go straight to the finish line and just expect you to be there when you've already done the work. And honestly, I say already done the work, but granted, this journey throughout your life, it's not over. It's you're probably what'll end up happening is this marathon that you're running is just a prelude to multiple marathons you're going to run after. Metaphorically, of course. Unless you're actually a legitimate marathon runner, in which case, kudos to you. um, because with each project, it may feel like a marathon, but then you're going to move on to the next project, and then it really is a rinse and repeat, where everyone's with you in the beginning. You're on your own and dealing with that self-doubt again and again. And then it really is through like sheer determination and willpower and self-discipline that you make it. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was important to say. And this definitely is probably going to be my longest video yet, but I don't feel like editing. Not because I'm lazy, but because I think it's important too that this is unfiltered. um so yeah, you're gonna have to deal with some of my crutch words. I apologize. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Thanks again, everyone, so much for watching. And I really do hope that if you are in this place, like, know that I'm there with you. And we do have, we are in a really tough spot, because it really doesn't seem like we're getting very far. And I just hope that you found some comfort in this and that it will just be a nice reminder for you to keep pushing through and to keep going, even when, you know, just the day to day of it all, having to deal with the lulls, because it really is a lull. Yeah, I'm 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 with you, man. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and keep at it. Until next time.